The views and opinions of this broadcast do not reflect the views and opinions of Armed Media, New Productions and its affiliates. Enjoy the show.
Teflon Pan Man. I'm the Teflon Pan Man. Ain't nothing gonna stick on me.
Hey everybody, welcome. This is All You Can Eat. It's the podcast about deliciousness. I'm your host, Rob Rosenthal. Welcome to episode 62, coming at you live from New York City, New York, the home studio, where it's about, 75 degrees, a little bit humid on August the 14th, a lovely summer day. And summer's good, isn't it? I'll tell you about tonight's show so that you know what to expect. I have no idea. I mean, that's the kind of show tonight is. I am looking at all types of input, of information, of data, of stuff in front of me that I want to try to make interesting, relevant, entertaining for you. It's everything from herbs and spices to sandwiches to crackers and beautiful things that I would recommend in terms of cakes and cookies. I don't know. I'm all over the place today, and I'm just letting you know in advance. I even have racked up a conversation that I had with a guy a couple of days ago who has what I would consider to be one of the great jobs. You know, if you like food, if you like me, I can tell you what the fantasy job always was. The fantasy job was to be a restaurant reviewer. Imagine that. You go like a couple of times a day, some restaurant, you eat on somebody else's dime, and then you write about it. I always thought that was like a fascinating gig. Well, this past week I spoke with a guy who is a chocolatier. Yeah, he makes chocolate for a living for a company called Cho, T-C-H-O, out in California, Berkeley, I think. Super fine product, lovely guy. I'm gonna, if we have time, I'm gonna put that discussion into tonight's show because I wanted to know from him. You know, Cho is like a high-end kind of a boutique-y craft chocolate product. I wanted to know what's the difference between your standard kind of industrial strength chocolate and when you get to the really good stuff. So I had that conversation with him. I have, as I said, a whole bunch of stuff in front of me. I mean, I just want to comment on the dinner that I made for what I thought was going to be a whole family worth of people, and I end up being the only one here eating it so far. And it was shockingly good. You know, I do a lot of the cooking. I would say I roast a lot of the chicken, and it turns out that in the middle of the summer, August, it's kind of hot. I don't always love turning on, you can understand this, right? I don't love turning on a hot oven in the middle of the summer, so I'm looking for alternatives. Sometimes the toaster oven, sometimes, as tonight, by the way, turned out to be the case, the air fryer, the Power Air Fryer. I'm going to tell you the genius, because tonight is a show that is going to include for you a number of recommendations. I want you to be able to leave tonight's program and go, hey, I should try that. I should try that dish. I should try that recipe. I should try that product. I should try that service. I should try that herb or spice, whatever it may be. That's kind of the nature of tonight's program. I take an entire chicken, and the beauty of the entire chicken is that it's whole. You don't have to do anything with it. Pull out from its cavity anything that might be inside there. Sometimes they put a package in there and has like a liver and a what do they call that thing? Yeah, you know what I mean. It's inside. You don't want stuff inside the cavity. What you do want is a dry bird, paper towel dry bird, seasoned super kind of what I would call aggressively with salt and pepper. I'm big on keeping it simple, my friends. You got lemon, you got garlic. It's kind of all you need with the salt and pepper. You know what I mean? Honestly, I seasoned the heck out of that bird on both sides. I rubbed it first with a touch of avocado oil just because I wanted the herbs and I wanted the salt to kind of like adhere to the skin. Inside the cavity of the bird, I put your salt and your pepper. I took a head of garlic. I chopped it in half, threw that inside with some salt and pepper, and I squeezed a half a lemon over both sides of the bird, and then I put the lemon inside the cavity. That chicken went breast side down into the Power Air Fryer. It is set for exactly 60 minutes. It is set for exactly the highest temperature that thing attains, which is 400 degrees. I mean, it's stupid easy because at the 30-minute mark, you go in, flip the bird on its other side, so now the breast is facing up. The bottom you can see is like, oh, man, that looks good. That's crispy. Ooh, hello. And you close the drawer and the thing cooks for another half hour, and it is never not flawless. 60 minutes, 400 degrees, Power Air Fryer. I mean, crisp on the outside, juicy on the inside. It is a perfect roast chicken. You want to give it different flavors, go for it. Really is a function of what your favorite flavors are. You may want something smoky, right? So you could use a little chipotle. You could use a little pimentón, which is the smoked Spanish paprika. You may want something a little, Italian-y. Maybe it's some, who knows, oregano. You may want some rosemary if you have. You could flavor this thing any way you want. But the point is, it's easy and fantastic. I took the little potatoes, cut them into little pieces, hit them up with a little bit of olive oil, a little bit of seasoned salt. My seasoned salt has some rosemary, some pepper, some sage in it, a little bit of garlic, and those go in the toaster oven. Again, I don't want to heat up the house too much. And I just leave them in there pretty much as long as you leave the chicken going. Maybe 45, maybe 50. They're toasty, they're crispy, they're potato-y, they're tasty, they're amazing. Opened up a can of chickpeas, my friends. Those will take any flavor you give them. Tonight I used a flavor called Ras El Hanout, R-A-S-E-L-H-A-N-O-U-T, Ras, Moroccan, right? Is it Moroccan? Let me see. I'll tell you something. I don't want to mislead you. I don't know if it's Moroccan or Middle Eastern. What do they call this Ras? Ras, Arabic. Literally translated as head of shop. Ras El Hanout, it means literally top shelf. I sprinkled the chickpeas after rinsing them with a whole bunch of Ras El Hanout, a little bit of salt. And when I saw that my air fryer had 10, 12, 15 minutes left, I dropped the spiced chickpeas into the air fryer. And I threw together a little salad because I had some tomato and I had some lettuce and I had a little bit of red onion, just enough red onion, and a touch of your feta cheese. You squeeze lemon, you squeeze olive oil, you put salt. I am telling you that I have made this meal 100 times. This was easily, well, I shouldn't say easily, this is one of the better ones I've ever made. So good. Herbs and spices I mentioned to you because it turns out that tomorrow at this time I'll be in the middle of teaching a cooking class. I do every once in a while a class here in New York City in a professional kitchen which accommodates, I would say, a dozen other people at the island, each with their own placemat, each with their own knife. And the reason for that is because we're all going to cook together. You hear those sirens in the background? That's how good this microphone is. I'm in a soundproof studio, and there's New York City sirens in the background. 12 people cutting, chopping, certainly learning, eventually sauteing, maybe a little bit of roasting, maybe braising. In a professional kitchen, we're going to cook for 2 hours. And then we're going to pull out all that food that we've made, 7, 8, 9 courses, different dishes. It may be vegetables. It's going to be potatoes. There's going to be chicken done a number of different ways. I have some steak in the house. I've got cauliflower, a lot of different stuff in there. And then at 9 o'clock, after 2 hours of cooking all this stuff, we get to sit down with a couple of bottles of wine and enjoy what it is that we make. And here's the thing. When people leave that class, sure, they might have had a laugh. They might have had delicious food, hopefully. But at minimum, come away with something like that they may not have really known, that may make it a real impact on the way that it is that they cook. And that's why I call that class 10 Herbs and Spices That Will Change Your Life, because tomorrow evening we're going to be cooking with 10 different herbs and spices at work in 7 or 8 different types of food. And so, at the end you may go, wow, I really love that Ras El Hanout. Or that gochujang. So this is very exciting. So I want to start by just with this. Do you know the difference between herbs and spices? Because, we don't call it an herb cabinet. We call it like a spice cabinet or a spice shelf or whatever we call it. And the reason for that is because herbs and spices basically come from different parts of the plant, right? Herb is from the green leafy part of the plant, right? So the leaf of, oregano or basil or rosemary. But the spice can come from so many other parts of the plant. It can come from the root, it can come from the stem, it can come from the seed, it can come from the fruit, it can come from the flower, or even from the bark of the tree or the plant, like it's the case with cinnamon, I think. So there are even some plants that can host both the kind of herb and the spice at the same time. So cilantro, you've heard of cilantro, which I know some people have like a genetic kind of anti-predisposition. I wonder what that would be called. Anyway, cilantro is the aromatic part, the leaf part of the plant. And then coriander is the seed that comes from that same plant. And I guess the other thing to know when it comes to this conversation about, spices is that spices retain their flavor and potency longer than herbs do. I know it should seem obvious, but when you look at things like cinnamon sticks or allspice berries or cloves or peppers, those things stay intact. They only start kind of to break down when you break them down. But when you start to look at the things like, the more delicate kind of, herby parts, your basil, like once you pull that out of the ground, you start cutting that up, its lifespan is pretty limited. The reason this is all kind of relevant, not only to now, but more importantly, well, there's nothing more important than now, I suppose, but relevant to tomorrow evening is because if you've heard my show before, you know that I have a background, I have a culinary, degree, and I have a philosophy about cooking, which is reflected in the cookbook that I wrote. Okay, so let me break it down real easy. I've said it before, I'll say it again. My whole attitude about cooking is get the best ingredients you can and don't mess them up too much, period. I find, I was fascinated, as I mentioned last week, in a conversation with world-class chef Jean-Georges van Gerichten. He said the same thing, ultimately, cooking for a long time. It took him a long time to figure out that what he's looking for is purity. And you get purity when you actually don't do too much with the food. You get the best possible ingredients you can and kind of accentuate their flavor and their taste. This time of year, we're talking about things like tomatoes out of the ground and corn and fresh basil and all those beautiful fruits that are coming up. The nectarines and the peaches and this kind of stuff. You don't have to do a ton with those things to make them outstanding. My book, Short Order Dad, One Guy's Guide to Making Food Fun and Hassle-Free Attitude. I went to cooking school so that you don't have to. Get the best ingredients you can, don't mix them up too much. And my formula, And this is where the whole herbs and spices conversation comes into play. My formula is this: most taste, fewest ingredients, least effort. Hello? Who doesn't want that? Who doesn't want the most taste with the fewest ingredients and least effort? To me, that's a winning formula. It's my formula. 100 recipes in that book. I can't think of any that use more. Well, there's a handful that may use more than 5 or 6 ingredients. But the thing about the herbs and spices is that, like, my ideal is, can I make a dish? Can I make something fabulous with only 2 ingredients? And the answer is that I can. And I can over and over again. And part of the reason you may consider a cheat, but it's not. If I have chicken thighs on the bone with the skin, yes, you can do it without a bone and without the skin. But max flavor, it's not a bad idea to have the bone and the skin. Anyway, if I can add 1 ingredient to that and make something fabulous, that's a win. But one of the things I add to it is a spice called Berbere. I talk about it a lot, Berbere. I was introduced to it by a chef, well-known chef, Marcus Samuelsson, Ethiopian born, Swedish raised. I said to him, what am I making? Most taste, fewest ingredients, least effort. He said, grab a piece of fish and hit it up with some Berbere and, saute it or whatever. So I found Berbere. And it's not hard to find. I mean, if you don't get it in your supermarket, if you're not getting it in your local, supermarket, gourmet store, Whole Foods, you can find it. But if you couldn't, I mean, come on, Amazon, hello? 1 click, it's at your home the next day. But here's the beauty of the Berbere. It has in it the following things: fenugreek, chilies, paprika, salt, ginger, onion powder, ground cardamom, ground coriander, ground nutmeg, garlic powder, ground cloves, ground cinnamon, ground allspice. I mean, the point of the story is that I say 2 ingredients because all I'm doing is hitting up my chicken with Berbere. But guess what? The Berbere has a dozen different flavors in it. So I give a class tomorrow night on 10 herbs and spices that will change your life. And I don't consider it a cheat, right? We're going to be using Berbere. We're going to be using za'atar. Why? Because it's great, sure. But za'atar generally has in it some thyme or oregano, cumin, coriander, sesame seeds, sumac from that part of the world, Middle Eastern, lemony kind of flavor, some salt in it, some Aleppo, pepper, chili flakes. So there's a lot of flavor, right? And za'atar, I mean, it's easy. Drop it on some chickpeas, stick it in the toaster oven. Everybody's happy. Take a piece of pita bread, paint it with a little bit of olive oil, hit it up with za'atar, put it in the toaster oven, make it toast. It's delicious when you dip into your hummus. Here's another one for tomorrow night. Gochujang. If you've been listening, you know that I'm deeply in love with the Korean food. Gochujang is one of their primary ingredients. It's a red chili paste, and what's amazing about it is that it's savory, sweet, and spicy. Made from chili powder, made from glutinous rice, made from fermented soybean powder, some salt. The sweetness comes from the glutinous rice. The savoriness or umami, if you will, is coming from the fermented, soybeans. The spiciness is coming from your chili powder, your chili flakes. They also use, the Koreans also use gochugaru, which is their red chili flakes. Fantastic, right? So what do you do with this thick kind of paste? How would you use that? I rub it all over my chicken legs, my chicken wings. Just rub your chicken wings with gochujang, stick it in the oven, as I do, until the fire alarm goes off. Turn the oven off, and when you look in and they look crispy and like I can't wait anymore, I must eat them. Go ahead, blow away. Love this stuff. Here's another one for you, my friends. It's called the official name is pimentón, but it's a smoked Spanish paprika. So they pick the peppers out there in Spain or wherever. And then they're smoked and dried over oak fires, and it gives the red powder kind of a rich, smoky flavor, which you can get in mild, or you get in medium hot, or you can get it in hot. But the beauty of it is that if you like the smoky flavor, you don't have to add liquid smoke. You don't have to add chemicals. You don't have to put it in a smoker. Grab your chicken, your meat, your steak, whatever it is that you like. Hit it up with pimentone, a touch of salt. You got smoky flavor. The same thing when you use chipotle, because chipotle is a smoked pepper. So if you use chipotle seasoning, you're also getting a smokiness to your food. It's like easy and great. Tomorrow night we'll be using herbes de Provence. What do we know about herbes de Provence? Well, they come from Provence in France. And France knows some food. And Provence is beautiful. And Provence is known for growing a lot of great herbs and spices. So when you buy herbes de Provence in any supermarket in the world, here's what you're getting. Some rosemary, some fennel seed, some dried savory, some dried thyme, some dried basil, some dried marjoram, some dried lavender flakes, Italian parsley, oregano, tarragon. Hello? All you need, like I said, is 2 ingredients, but this one's got 10 in them. You don't have to mix 10 things together. It's done for you. Use herbes de Provence on your chicken. Use it on your eggs. Use it in your salad dressing. All of a sudden, you have a whole new thing. You're eating French food. Ras El Hanout. Top shelf. Moroccan spice blend. Sometimes they'll put 50 spices into this thing. You buy it. Supermarket, like I said, Whole Foods, online. Who sells online? I mean, everybody does. You can go to Amazon and just look up Ras El Hanout, but you can also get it at Penzeys, which specializes in spices. What's in Ras El Hanout, you ask? You did ask, right? Thank you. By the way, this telephone number, I haven't given it out forever. Whatever. If you want to call in, let's see if it works. 800-508-5431. It's 800-508-5431. I'm on Ras El Hanout. What goes in there? Cumin, ginger, salt, black pepper, cinnamon, coriander seeds, cayenne pepper, allspice, ground cloves. So, I'm getting like the fragrance. It's deep, it's intense, it's fantastic. Here's how I use it. 2 ingredients. Ready for this? And this may be one of the greatest things of all time because it's healthy, like super healthy and clean. Wow, can you imagine something that is so tasty and so super healthy and so clean? Take a sweet potato. Put it in the oven at high heat and cook it for a while. 450 for 45, 500 for 50, whatever. It's a sweet potato. It's not complicated. Crispy on the outside, soft on the inside. Open it up, and all you have to do is hit it with a teaspoon or 2 of Ras El Hanout, mash it down, and go, I had no idea how easy it was to make incredibly delicious food. This delicious. No, I mean that this easy. And wait. Sweet potatoes are one of the superfoods. There's hardly a food that's like on the top 10 list of one of the greatest foods you can get, just loaded with nutrients, micronutrients, antioxidants, superfood. Tomorrow night we'll be using dukkah, D-U-K-K-A-H. It's Egyptian, Arabic, Egyptian condiment. What's fun about the dukkah is that they're mixing herbs and nuts and spices. So it has hazelnuts in it, sesame seeds, coriander seeds, pistachios, cashews, cumin seeds, fennel seeds, kosher salt, dried mint, sugar, red pepper flakes. Are you kidding me? You put that on anything. That's going to be just plain good. Tomorrow night we'll be using Aleppo pepper. Bright, fruity, chili flakes, tangy, moderate heat. Middle Eastern, Mediterranean. It comes out of Turkey or Syria. Mild kind of heat level, a little of a cumin kind of undertone, some fruitiness. You could use it on anything. Like you're grilling a piece of chicken, and aren't you bored yet? Seriously, I mean, how many times? I mean, I make chicken every week. You try to find new flavors. What if you, what if you were grilling up breasts and all you really used was like a squeeze of lemon and some olive oil and some Aleppo pepper? You'd be happy. It's great. Or use it on your pizza instead of the red paper flakes, or put it in your pasta. And finally, not finally, but one of the other things we'll be using tomorrow that I mentioned tonight is your harissa. Maybe you've seen this in a jar in the market. It's like one of the basic Tunisian flavors. Very versatile condiment, right? So you can put it on meat, you can put it on fish. You can roast. Tomorrow night we're going to be roasting carrots with a combination of harissa and honey. Right? Then maybe, you top that off with some sprinkled mint leaves or whatever. This stuff, harissa, it's great with couscous or rice. And what does it have in it? Red pepper, coriander, cumin, caraway seeds, olive oil, red onion, garlic, chilies, tomato paste, lemon juice, salt. I mean, so my point remains the same. Most taste, fewest ingredients, least effort. One of the easy ways to achieve that is that one of your ingredients is is a spice blend that has these amazing flavors from all around the world. So that's what I wanted to tell you tonight about your herbs and your spices. Next up, before I go to my conversation with, hang on, I must have a sip. Yeah, I wish that was more exciting. It's cold water, but I'll tell you, sometimes that's the thing that really does it. I want to tell you about a couple of things because I'm on the recommendation engine right now. And there's a company called Fresh Flowers. And by flowers, I don't mean Flowers, but Flowers, Fresh Flowers. And Stephanie is the brains and talent behind Fresh Flowers, and they make such outstanding baked goods. And they package them, and they ribbon them, and they tag them so that if you are looking to create cookies, or rugelach, or blondies, or biscottis, if you are looking to create gift baskets, or this type of thing, or you need these kind of cookies, baked goods for an event, get yourself online to freshflowersllc.com. Fresh Flower, Flowrs, LLC.com. Pick yourself up a particular type of butter cookie, or decide you want to choose a rugelach or a blondie or a biscotti. All of the stuff is outstanding. Grab yourself whatever package that you want. You get to choose that. Choose the ribbon that you want to put on it. Put on your own personal tag. Sometimes these tags can be illustrated. This thing is good for, marriage. It's good for when somebody has a baby. It's good because you want to send somebody a birthday present, any type of celebration. And it's great stuff. I mean, the thing is, the product is really outstanding. So not only are you sending a clever, personalized package gift, but you have no fear about sending something that people are going to absolutely love. FreshFlowersLLC.com. Go there. And while I'm on the recommendation engine, I'm reminded of this because most taste, fewest ingredients, least effort comes into play when dessert comes around. I've said it before, I'll say it again. My favorite is ice cream, because ice cream is a canvas for you, right? You could serve ice cream and, drop in a little half a cup of espresso and end up with what the Italians call an affogato, right? So there's two ingredients and they're fantastic. It tastes like essentially coffee syrup on top of your ice cream. But me, your boy Rob, I like to gild the lily and ensure that that dish is going to be memorable. So I drop into it crumpled up pieces, cracked. Oh, I don't want to say cracked. I'll tell you why. Because I crumble up pieces of a product called Crack. It's Biggie's Crack Toffee. Holy wow. I'm serious. Bless you, Biggie's Crack Toffee. I discovered Biggie's Crack Toffee very early. Thin, toffee, crunchy, crispy, multiple flavors, amazing on its own, but poof, drop it into some ice cream and happiness ensues. I discovered it early, but you know who came to discover it? A woman named Oprah. Yes, it became one of her favorite things. But she came after me, that's all I'm saying. I was there first. Toasted almond, toasted pecan, bourbon and coffee toffee, peanut butter with Malden sea salt, toasted coffee crunchies. I mean, here's the thing. Even if you just get the good old Biggie's Crack original toffee plain, it's outstanding. It comes in flavors. And it is easy to access online. Tell them here, and tell them over Fresh Value. Say, Rob sent me. Maybe they'll do something super special for you. Cracktoffee.com. This stuff is awesome good. I told you I was going to be skipping around at 8:34. I'm going to attempt to play the conversation that I had with a chocolatier at a company called Cho. All these years I thought it was TCHO. And I get on with him and I go, TCHO? He goes, no, it's Cho. Oh. I'm going to play it. And give me, my friends, the opportunity to stop it if I determine that I am not 100% pleased with the sound level. Sometimes when you do the remotes, the sound can be less than ideal. This is my conversation with respect to chocolate, and I will confess now, and as I did in my conversation with him, that you come from New York, or I do, and you have a New York accent. Sometimes you inadvertently say chocolate, when in fact you and I know, my friends, that it's chocolate. I do my best here. My conversation with the chocolatier out at Cho. Let's see if it works, okay? Let us then cut to the subject for today, which is related to Valentine's Day tomorrow. In that... Okay, everyone. Hey, Brad Kinzer, how are you?
I'm doing great, Rob. How are you?
I am fine. Tell everybody two things. First of all, Brett, where are you now in the world? Where are we speaking to you from?
I am in Berkeley, California.
It seems like a nice place, Berkeley, doesn't it?
It's a pretty darn cool place, yeah.
I love that. And the second question, and important one, is tell the people. I've kind of introduced you. Tell the people though what it is that you do for a living.
So I am a chocolate baker, a craft chocolate maker. So that is something that sort of involves everything from sourcing cocoa beans to creating recipes to tasting chocolate every day to talking about chocolate. So yeah,
it is literally the dream job for so many people. Would it not be?
I'll say a job's a job, but it's a pretty good one.
Yeah, I hear you on that. Well, so two questions immediately come to mind, Brett. One is that you mentioned craft chocolate, but I think the bigger context, the bigger question is, and you'll have to excuse me as I will ask my listeners to in advance. When you come from where I do, we sometimes don't pronounce chocolate properly. I will segue periodically into chocolate, but here's the big question nonetheless: is this? There's a ton of chocolate out in the world. I remember seeing a figure somewhere, maybe even gotten it in that article that I had read about you in the New York Times. When you love chocolate, this isn't like work. But there are like billions and billions and billions of dollars of chocolate sold here in the United States. What distinguishes, craft chocolate? What's the fundamental difference between your kind of average, everyday, industrial strength chocolate and the stuff that you make out at TCHO. Is that how you pronounce it, TCHO?
It's actually pronounced Cho.
That's what I was afraid of. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Sometimes when you don't hear it. All right, so
I'm just learning how to say it. So, no, it's just Cho, the T stylist, but it is spelled TCHO.
Right.
And so that's a great question. It's something that all of us in the craft chocolate world are still trying to really define that. So how do we define ourselves? Are there quantitative differences that we can apply to craft chocolate? Are there qualitative differences? Like, for example, in craft beer, oftentimes a craft beer is actually defined by how big your batches are and how much you sell every year. Whereas craft coffee or specialty coffee is defined by an actual qualitative score out of like 100 points in terms of quality of the actual coffee. So I think craft chocolate is still very much on its infancy in terms of our development. But the good news is that there's definitely something there to go on. When you taste a lot of large companies' chocolate, it's oftentimes sugar is the first ingredient, which is fine. But I love your classic iconic canned brands.
Sure.
And they're delicious and for a lot of occasions. However, there's sort of I think the essence behind craft is that is sort of wanting to showcase the fact that there are a lot of nuanced, beautiful flavors that can be found in the cacao bean or the cocoa bean when you don't smother it with chocolate. And so the whole essence of craft, from my perspective, I think a lot of my colleagues' perspectives in the craft world, it's really just kind of bringing that to life and sharing it with people. Also, there's definitely a little bit more of a human story, I think, as well. So it's kind of telling the story of where cacao comes from, the farmers themselves, their lives, how to improve their lives. Unfortunately, a lot of the farmers are some of the poorest people in the world. So there's sort of an ethical component to craft as well for a lot of companies. So.
Yeah, it was what I was afraid of. He's great, and I had an interesting conversation with him, but somehow the quality of that recording is not up to our standard, and if I'm having difficulty hearing it, you're probably having more. So I'm going to make the attempt to kind of get him back on the line and get a better sound quality. What I recall from our conversation was, they basically traveled the world over to access the best possible beans that they can. Oftentimes they come from West Africa as a huge source of the cacao bean. South America, Venezuela certainly is known. So part of the craft business, my recollection was that they start by getting the best possible bean that they can. Then they have, a roasting process, and I don't know. I just will say that and I'll try to get him back on because I thought it was really interesting what it was that they're doing out there. I mean, they're building kind of like taste laboratories around the world, close to where the farmers are. So the farmers never really understood what their what the product that their bean went into. So, Cho is out there building like local kind of like testing labs, and so everything that they do is dedicated. When you're doing things in a craft way rather than a mass way, you're able to kind of ensure, I suppose, the highest possible quality and taste. And I've had it. I mean, I've had it before, long before I knew or this guy or her, or was introduced to these people or whatever. I had this stuff. I had chocolate things product being shipped to my home like 5 years ago because I'd heard about it. It's out in Berkeley. They're doing craft chocolates. I always thought it was good. Now they're just making great, super flavors. I mean, I was having mocha, and obviously everybody's doing the salted caramel. They do one that has salted caramel with, pretzels in it. Anyway, easy to find, Cho.com if you're interested. And I will try to get him back on the line because I thought it was interesting to see what they were doing, how they were doing it, what the difference is. But if you want to know yourself, and you're a chocolate person and you want to splurge. And when I say splurge, I mean there's there's basic chocolate, which is fine, and then there's really super high end stuff. And this is at that scale of it, the craft scale. Cho.com. They even sent me some. Honestly, they sent me some something to try called Mango Lassi. It was wrapped like a chocolate bar. I don't know that there was chocolate in it, but it was good. Super good. So, all right. Now, what do we go to from there? And this is really kind of a completely, I'm really totally skipping around. But I think it was, let me see if it was today's New York Times. I was kind of interested in this, August the 14th. So that is today, isn't it? Food delivery apps. Let me just see the name of the article because I was interested in the rise of the virtual restaurant. Food delivery apps are reshaping the restaurant industry and how we eat by inspiring digital-only establishments that don't need a dining room or waiters. Think about that. You can open a restaurant right now. You don't have to hire waiters and you don't need a dining room. You really just need a place to cook. A kitchen. Because Uber Eats and DoorDash and Grubhub are going to do all the other work for you. Restaurant business in America, $863 billion. More people order to eat at home. Delivery becomes faster and more convenient. Apps are changing the essence of what it means to operate a restaurant, it says here. And no longer must restaurateurs rent space for a dining room. All they need is a kitchen or a part of one, hang a shingle inside, a meal delivery app, and market their food to the app's customers without the hassle and expense of hiring waiters, paying for furniture, for tablecloths, for flowers, for music, blah, blah, blah. And diners who order from the apps have no idea that the restaurant doesn't physically exist. So now you have like two different kinds of places, virtual restaurants, which are attached to kind of real life restaurants, but they make different cuisine specifically for the delivery apps. And then you have what they're calling ghost kitchens, which have no retail presence whatsoever, but they serve as meal preparation hub. Like you can, I don't know if you know this, but like if you wanted to, you could rent some professional kitchen space, go in there and make your empanadas, right? Put your product on your Grubhub and on your, Uber app, and you're in business. They say it's the most exciting opportunity in the restaurant industry today. I don't know. I get it. And interesting. I've had it before. I mean, look, I come from a different place. Because I cook. I like to cook. I encourage cooking at home. But I understand. Sometimes you don't have the time. You don't want to make the effort. It's way easier to get something fabulous sent right to your door. You can get food that's perfectly good, and you can get food, of course, that's disappointing. But there you go. It's trending, man. It's trending that you can order in from a place that doesn't even really doesn't have to exist as a restaurant, simply as an operation that's going to make you good food. So there you go. Came across another article that was tasty to me, so I hope it'll be tasty to you. It's written by an operation called Restaurant Hospitality. That's a big trade publication, and they did an article called Best Sandwiches in America, Meet the Winners. I would like to meet the winners. More than meeting them, I would like to eat the winners. For example, the Tex-Mex cheesecake at Antone's famous Po' Boys in Houston. I'm looking at a beautiful Hoagie Hero, thin steak, onion and peppers, cheese. Can't argue with that. Tex-Mex cheesecake. Let's see why it's a winner. And the answer is They tell you why it's a winner. $9.95. Sandwich features thin sliced, the house roasted top sirloin, topped with freshly sliced bell peppers, banana peppers, jalapenos, and onions, cut thinly, and cooked to order fajita style with a little red wine vinegar and salt and pepper, served with toasted po' boy bread made by the local Royal Bakery. The sandwich also has, of course, pepper jack cheese and house-made chipotle mayos. Antone's was founded in '62, but doing classic po' boys ever since. Wow. That's a fine sandwich. Let's see what else is on the list. This is the kind of stuff that I look at and I talk about, and it has to make you hungry. I mean, I finished dinner, and I'd still have a half a Tex-Mex cheesecake. Here's a vegetarian product called the Savage out of the Spice Boys Kitchen food truck in Sarasota, Florida. Why is this one a winner? Spice Boys, fried eggplant, crispy potatoes, pickled cabbage slaw, medium boiled egg, not too runny, garlic confit tahini, skug and amber, tangy yet potent mango pickled sauce stuffed into a baked pita, imported from Israel, Tel Aviv street food, breakfast, lunch, colorful, spicy, bold, no need for meat or anything tricked out to resemble meat. Well, that's a fine-looking sandwich right there. If you're in Sarasota, that's a food truck thing. Oh, I like this one. I like this one a lot. This is the pork roli roti porchetta sandwich out of Oakland, California. Leave it to them. Why is this one of the best sandwiches in America? Why are we hungry for this? $10.50. Sliced rotisserie cooked porchetta, made with heritage pork loin, pork belly, and stuffed with aromatics. You know those aromatics are going to include rosemary and garlic, black pepper, house-made onion marmalade, rosemary, sea salt, organic arugula. Oh, nice. And a chewy bread bun. Sandwich, man. That's a fine sandwich right there. You know that's going to be good. One of the best sandwiches I ever had in my life. I made myself at a Saturday market in Umbria, Italy. One person was selling fresh bread. Somebody else was selling fresh porchetta. There was a giant pig on a spit. And I had to fight a lot of Italian women to get my portion of the porchetta with the crispy skin. And I just dropped it on that bread right there. Oh, it's one of the top 10 sandwiches ever. So I see a roti, porchetta sandwich with a little bit of arugula. I tell you what, that's a fine-looking sandwich. Also on the list, best sandwiches in Santa Monica. Wow, Santa Monica, good for you. It's the Santa Monica hot fish. Let's see what makes the Santa Monica hot fish a sandwich that people like you and me want to eat. For $10. Oh, Michael and Brian Voltaggio. Well, there you go. A couple of super famous guys from the days of Top Chef. In the style of the Nashville hot chicken sandwich, this is Alaskan cod dredged in flour, dipped in batter, spiked with Santa Monica Brew Works IPA, and fried. The fish is then rubbed in a Nashville hot spice mix that includes cayenne, sweet paprika, onion, and garlic powder, sugar, and oil, simmered to allow the spices to bloom. You know what that means, right? That means you're really bringing out the flavor when you do that. The fillet is served on a bun with lettuce, pickles, and house-made tartar sauce. Damn. Woo! Bestseller now. Cold beer. Get me a cold beer with that one. Panini. Big Paulie Panini out of Oakland Gardens, New York at the Constantine's Deli. I'm looking at this thing, and before I even tell you what's on it, it looks like kind of roast beef over what appears to be like a broccoli rabe, some red peppers. I'm going to see in a second on a toasted kind of like ciabatta thing. Let's see why Big Paulie Panini out of Oakland Gardens is a winner. Your sandwiches of 2019, 14 smackers. That's a commitment. House roasted top round, that's right. Broccoli rabe, correct. Fried eggplant cutlet, fresh mozzarella, or as we say here, mozzarella. roasted red peppers, sharp provolone cheese, fried pepperoni, and a house-made balsamic reduction, served on a ciabatta, which is heated and pressed on a flat top grill. I want that one. That's my number one right now of all these. I want that one first right now. Damn. Damn. Who? That's a sandwich. Best sandwiches in America. Meet the winners. It's a Reuben sandwich called the Brooklyn Soul, but Soul is spelled like the Soul in South Korea, Seoul. It's the Rogue Sandwich Company, Spring Hill, Florida. Wow, look at you, Florida, on the list again. Tell me about the Brooklyn Soul. Well, the Brooklyn Soul, my friends, for $8.50, you get some steamed pastrami with kimchi, baby Swiss, gochujang infused house-made Russian dressing on a marbled rye. This is everything I want. This is now my number one sandwich on this list. Classic Reuben with a Korean twist. Pastrami, kimchi, the pickled cabbage, Korean style. Gochujang house-made Russian dressing, marbled rye. Damn. Love that. Love that. What else is on the list? The Cuban from the Kentucky Inn in Denver, Colorado. Good for you, Denver. Why? We have a winner. It's called the Colorado Cuban for $13. House braised pork, spicy brown mustard, bacon, pickles, and pimento cheese. Made with roasted hatch green chilies and Monterey Jack instead of cheddar, spiked with sriracha, minced red onions, and jalapenos. Give me one of those. Damn. I like a sandwich. A fine sandwich that is. Who else is on this list anymore? Yeah. There you go. Reginelli's Pizzeria, New Orleans. Now, this is an interesting looking sandwich. It's called the Dream State, and it's an Italian sandwich. Let me tell you why this one is a winner, my friends. At Reginelli's Pizzeria, New Orleans, it's going to cost you $8.50. Herb goat cheese layered with Roma tomatoes, diced pancetta, which is your Italian bacon product, roasted cubed eggplant, roasted walnuts, mixed greens, all dressed with a balsamic citrus vinaigrette on a house-made focaccia bread. Damn. Dream State. Focaccia is brushed with garlic oil and sprinkled with a signature herb mix that has oregano and thyme in it. That mix is also incorporated into the ricotta. Goat cheese spread. Eggplant is roasted until it's soft, but the roasted walnuts give texture along with the salt of the pancetta. And hello. As we like to say here, there is nothing wrong with that. San Francisco, we're back by you with the Pica Arepa Kitchen doing a sandwich called an Arepa Pabellon. Pabellon. And what makes the Arepa Pabellon name winner? $11, a grilled corn pocket, that's the arepa, stuffed with slow-cooked shredded beef, okay, simmered with cilantro, garlic, cumin, bay leaf, leeks, bell peppers, onion, and other spices. And it's layered with some black beans, fried sweet plantains, and a salty queso fresco with the restaurant's signature pica pan hot sauce. Considered Venezuela's national dish, the pabellon is typically served on a plate with rice, beans, and plantains. It brings together flavors from the Caribbean, Spain, South America. Damn. This is Venezuela in a pocket. So if you want to see more, add this to your list. The Best Sandwiches in America 2019 from Restaurant Hospitality. Just lovely. That brings us very close to the end of our festivities here this evening. To review, recommended you some herbs and spices, the simple addition of which will intensify, magnify, and otherwise improve and make interesting all the food that you are making at home. You're tired of the same old? Check out any one of these 8, 9, 10 herbs and spices. I did not have the chance to recommend to you a product called rosemary and sea salt almond flour crackers. Get your hands on those, by the way, especially if you are gluten-free, because they are made with almond flour and they are excellent. Simple Mills rosemary and sea salt almond flour crackers. Don't forget, my friends, that fresh flour Flowers LLC, Flours LLC, because you want to order something for an occasion, a wedding, a baby, and it's amazing. Don't forget our friends over at Cracked Toffee. Holy wow. On its own, cracked into something else. This is an amazing product, always great. CrackedToffee.com. And I guess don't forget my final announcements to you, my friend, as if you are interested, there is the Rob Rosenthal Cookbook, otherwise known as Short Order Dad, One Guy's Guide to Making Food Fun and Hassle-Free. And I would say the reason you want that is because I'm going to teach you how to cook and make amazing food with the most taste-fused ingredients and least effort. So you got that going for you. And don't forget that I'm going to be back here with you next Wednesday night, as I am every Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern, for the show called All You Can Eat. It's the podcast about deliciousness. I'm your host, Rob Rosenthal. And remember this, my friends, life is short, so never waste a meal.
I'm the Teflon Pan Man.